About a year ago, I was 435 pounds. I could barely move. I was almost stuck in bed, let alone wipe my own behind. And in today's video, we did want to get out and show you some Alaskan bike trails. I started losing weight with fasting, and then I went on to keto, then to KetoVore, and eventually finding carnivore to be what worked well for me. And since a very nice lady donated this bike rack to us, I think it's time to put it to good use. So let's get on with the adventure and see what today brings. Today, my wife Mylene and I, we decided to go down the Westchester Lagoon. And that's just right outside the heart of downtown Anchorage. And this place provides easy access to Anchorage bike trail system that heads south along the coastline. Right next to me is the lagoon. It is amazing. There is some forks here in the road. You can go right or left. Today, we're going left because there's a little bit further down the trail we've never been before. And so far, this is our first time as a family, or me and my wife actually, to get out and actually enjoy these bike paths on our bikes. Because even before, when I bought this mountain bike about 3 years ago, I was in pretty good shape, but I did not have a whole lot of strength in me. It was incredibly hard for me to get out and do things. I was really uncomfortable sitting on the bike. And that's where carnivore is the most important thing to this whole aspect of everything that's going on right now. Since I started carnivore, I have noticed I have improved breathing, and I've always had to use an inhaler. I've had an emergency inhaler packed around with me for such a long time, I almost don't know what it feels like to go without it. I think it was a couple weekends ago where I actually got my mountain bike out for the first time this year. And that's the first time in several years since I purchased this mountain bike. And I took it for a ride around my local neighborhood, and I quickly found out that I was able to actually ride this bike. I didn't really believe it. It was almost like something impossible was happening because really, less than a year ago, I was 435 pounds. I seriously couldn't do anything, let alone get on a mountain bike without flattening the tires all the way to the ground. I mean, I was just so impressed and so happy with myself. I was like, wow, we need to get out. We need to do more. I went through a bunch of phases before I managed to get this far. When I think back about my poor health, I do believe it all started around the time the pandemic started. That was around the time I got diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, and that almost took my life. Then I was prescribed a CPAP machine, and I thought that was going to be the cure-all for my pestering situation that I was undergoing already. I mean, I thought I was going to be able to get more sleep, and that was going to make me more active and well-rested, and quite frankly, that's the furthest thing from the truth. I never did get to the root cause of my issue, which was what I was eating. So like anybody else, I started looking into the foods I was eating. I was trying to cut back the best I could, but I really wasn't getting it figured out, not even close. And then came the severe depression and the horrible anxiety, all of which prevented me from getting out and doing anything. I was just basically a victim inside my own head, stuck inside my own home. I didn't know what I was doing. And it wasn't long after that, I just stopped caring. I stopped caring about myself. I stopped caring about life. I stopped caring about my family. And my family is what I care about the most. But at that time, I was so depressed. I was praying for God to take my life. I was just laying there in bed, just waiting to go. I didn't know when I was going to take my last breath. And quite frankly, at that moment, I didn't even care. And then it was like somebody slapped me upside the head and said, no, you're not going to die today. You're going to figure this out. And that's when I started looking into fasting to lose weight. Quite honestly, it all happened so fast, it almost surprised me. Within the first 15 weeks, I lost 100 pounds with fasting and just focusing on better health choices. But when I was losing that first 100 pounds and I was actually getting the weight to actually fall off the body, I was getting a lot of bad advice. A ton of bad advice from the internet, a bunch of bad advice from the doctors, people telling me to eat less, move more. Well, Eat less, yeah, that's a no-brainer. But come on, move more when you're 430-something pounds? I don't think so. That's how I got injured. That's how I couldn't go to work. I started having all kinds of problems with edema and other things. I didn't get that figured out until I started the carnivore diet. Now, I have a funny story about how I actually decided to do the carnivore diet. Beforehand, I didn't think the carnivore diet was gonna work because I tried it many years ago. It just didn't work then. For starters, I didn't know what I was doing when I was trying to do it, and I don't really think I took it seriously. Like a lot of people that try something, we just say we're doing something and don't actually do it. You can relate, I'm sure. But the thing is I thought the carnivore diet was the last thing I would ever try in my entire life. It was one of those things where I didn't believe it was gonna work. I did look into it a little bit after somebody recommended it to me. And this is a good friend of mine who's got cancer. And he's had really good success with using the carnivore diet and all the eating principles that go around it. But I still didn't believe it. Even though he was having great success, his cancer's in remission, he's going through a whole bunch of life changes and everything's improving. But when I started it, I don't know if I really took it seriously or not. It was just one of those things that I just didn't want to do. Just like losing weight in the first place, we don't really want to lose weight. We just say we want to lose weight, and we don't actually want to do it. But when we start losing weight and we figure out how to lose weight and how to lose weight easily with little to no exercise through fasting and other ways of learning how to read ingredients and just teaching ourselves the basics as to when ketosis or autophagy starts, and using that principle there alone to lose weight while we sleep, then everything else seems to start to make more sense. But in time, I had problems with sustaining a fasting type lifestyle. So I had to start looking into other ways of eating. And like I said, I did keto before, and keto got confusing pretty fast. So I decided that, all right, we'll try something else. And as I was going along this journey, I was creating these videos. And throughout creating these videos, people were recommending, hey, try the carnivore diet, along with my friend as well that had cancer. So I figured I'd give it a shot and see how it worked. And since then, I've been kind of hooked, because even when I wasn't doing 100% carnivore, I was getting a lot of the benefits. So many benefits, I can't even explain them all in one video. The majority of my weight issues, they all started when I was about 30 years old. That's 20 years ago. I'm 50 now. I feel like I had 20 years of my life just robbed from me with just poor education, no moral values or anything being taught to me, through my doctors or nutritionists or things like that. For a period of time, I was prescribed to eat, a high vegetable type diet. Well, that didn't do much for me. That just gave me a bunch of kidney stones and other issues. So, yeah, vegetables don't work for everybody. I don't even know if they work for anybody. But some people seem to believe they can handle them, and that's great for them. I don't hate on anybody that does anything their own particular way that works for them, just as long as you're getting healthy and in a good mood. Now, being in a good mood, that's a whole nother carnivore type topic, because your hormones change, your attitude changes for the better. I can communicate better. I can talk, actually speak complete sentences without a lot of ums and ahs and awkward pauses. That was something that was nearly impossible before when I was eating a high carbohydrate type diet. Now, before I started the carnivore diet, I was under the assumption, like many other people, that carbs and fiber were absolutely necessary in order to survive. This 100 feet right here was probably the only time I actually had to get off my bike and walk it for a little while. It was a little bit embarrassing. It probably wouldn't have been so bad if I carried some speed up through here. And of course, my wife had to show me up by just riding on past and leaving me behind in the dust. It's okay, this is what we do. We got to get out. We got to push ourselves a little bit more. And we got to try a little bit harder each and every day. But all in all, this was a really good ride so far. And this is a lot further along than I thought I would have ever been, especially a year ago. Because before I started losing weight, I didn't think there was any hope for me at all. I thought I was just a complete disaster. There goes those joggers. See you later, bye. Now, I believe it was at this point where I was actually starting to feel a little bit defeated. I had joggers passing me going up the hill. Unfortunately, yeah, I had to walk for a little while. Not a big, super huge deal, but It felt like it was downhill all the way to this point until I started going up this hill. And I was really tired at this point. My legs were giving out. I mean, this was more bike riding than I have done in a long time. I guess what I really want to express to everybody is just never give up on yourself. If I gave up on myself, I would have never gotten to this point. I would have never been able to have gotten back on my bicycle, gone out for this amazing trip with my wife. I wouldn't have any more time with my children. If I just stopped doing anything, I most definitely wouldn't have been here for any of this. I mean, take a look at this place. It's a beautiful place. Everybody should be able to get out and enjoy the surroundings a little bit. That's what I want to share with people, is Alaska and how beautiful it is. So I really do hope you guys come along for our next adventure, because so far, it's all been worth it for me. Is a carnivore type diet perfect for everyone? I'll leave that one up for debate, because it's definitely working for me.
Well, thank you, my dear.
You're welcome. Okay, guys, this is where we need a little bit of your input. Do you guys want to see some bike videos around town? Because we can absolutely set that up and make that happen. Me and my wife here, we can get out and do some more. We do need to get her Jeep set up with a hitch so we can do the same thing to hers and get some bikes on the back of hers as well, because we got a lot of kids. You know, I got 3 kids, and eventually we're going to have to get them all out on the bike path. So yeah, just let us know if you want to see more. And as always, guys, like I say at the end of my videos, we'll see you in the next one. That's all you do.
Yes, it is.